Hi, I'm your host, Dr. Lori, and welcome to Universally Unique, exploring the neurodiverse world of the extraordinary. This podcast fosters curiosity and understanding about neurodiversity while empowering individuals with tools for acceptance and inclusion in classrooms, the workplace, and communities. Featuring shared stories of neurodiverse life experiences, it sheds light on navigating a world not designed for diversity. Universally Unique starts now. Hi. Today my guest is Julienne Gousse, who is the mother of Sebastien Pitches, who we have actually heard from previously. We are going to get our podcast started the way that we usually do by taking 3 box breaths, and I'll count those out for us, and then we'll jump in and ask Julie some questions about being the mom of an individual who is neurodiverse. So we're going to start by breathing in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, hold for 4, breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, hold for 4, breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, and we're done. So, I'm going to call you Julie because that's what I usually refer to you as, and it sounds kind of strange for me to call you Julienne. So what I would like for you to get us started with is to just give us a little bit of background about your journey with Sebastien and what it's like to be Sebastien's mom.
Okay, well, thank you for having me on. And my last name is pronounced Goose, like the mother goose. and journey, it's very long. It's longer than your show, but really, from the time he was a baby until I got the diagnosis, in between there, we lived in France, and when we were in France, that's when I saw the signs of him being autistic, only because I took a class in special ed, and I remember reading about kids who are autistic and what they do. And then, so we left France and we came back to America. And then I got him into Birth to 3. And then we lived in Bridgeport then. So I got invited to the consultation center to see what kind of schooling he was going to have, since he was identified as having something. They weren't saying the word autism back then. So they said he has something, and they wanted to see how he plays with other kids. And then they saw how he played, and then they wanted to put him into another school. I don't know if I can name it, so I won't.
No, don't.
No. Anyway, I said no, of course. And then I snuck into another school and said, "Oh, I want that school." And then it was from the time Sebastien was told, I was told he's autistic, until when he started to be able to advocate for himself. I have not been a mother. I have been an advocate, a bully, a fighter, a warrior, a control freak, but not really a mother. And I say that because I've never had a mom. And so my idea of a mother is in my imagination, my fantasy. And I wanted to be that mother. And then I was ready for Sebastien to be, the next president or of the world, and the crown king, whichever came first. And so I was going to be the perfect mom, and then of course I didn't get that chance. And so the journey has been just fighting, and now I don't have to fight anymore. I just sort of tell him, "Sebastien, you have to fight." Since he doesn't have my personality, he's like, "Mom, I told him that I wanted, and I said yes, but don't take no for an answer." So
Well, he may have learned to advocate with a slightly softer approach.
That's right. Yes, I'm more of a sledgehammer.
Mhm.
First I ask, I put on my social smile and I don't act like I'm angry that I have a kid with autism, and I control my voice and I ask nicely, and make sure the words are properly, the sentence is follow all the sentence structures and everything. And then usually back then I was told no, over the phone, no, in a letter. There was no emails back then, so it was either in a letter, and then I would just say, I would just you know the most exciting fight was when we were trying to get him disability, social security. And then he went through, testing with somebody like yourself.
Okay.
And then because he's so high functioning, well, I said he's high functioning because I've had to fight for him to have early intervention, not because of some magic of autism. He's still autistic. It's still a disability. And then I was like, so the first one, oh no, he's not. He'll be able to work and live on his, do everything on his own. Yes, but not without support. That's
Yeah.
the nature of autism. Yes, you can compensate, because if the kid is can learn and everything, then okay. So the first letter, and then I dispute, and then send it, and then by the 10th one, and Sebastian was like, "Mom, you're always gonna say no." I said, "Sebastian, you haven't met me yet. They will, they will say no to my face. They will never say no to us via letter." And I remember at the last appointment, I said to the woman, I said, "Make whatever recommendation you want." I said, "I have been fighting since this kid was 2.5 when he was diagnosed. I have fought with schools. I have moved to towns that I can't afford to live there, but I live there anyway for him to go to school to have a proper education. I have fought for him to have entry into camps, daycare, you name it. And so go ahead and say no to us. This is only the 10th time. Don't worry. I will again dispute it. And then you'll be back with the 11th time. And we will never stop. We will never stop." And I think I scared her. She didn't want to meet us anymore.
Because she let it go through because she wanted you to go away. Well,
Yes, yes.
what I'm wondering too, though, is if they asked the world's most ridiculous question, like, will he no longer be autistic? Or, is it going to go away?
Uh, uh, so after I take a deep breath, so autism is the failure of the amygdala part of the brain to read messages from the nervous system. So nervous system sends messages to the brain, and the all the other parts of the brain may be okay to process, but the amygdala, which is this very small part, and its job is to decode gray areas, is to tell the brain, "Hey, block out that noise. Hey, don't get overwhelmed in this crowd. Hey, everything's gonna be okay. Just focus. Look somebody in the eye. Remember to say thank you when you pay the compliment, because that's what we do in this world. All these gray areas, unless somebody comes up with a cure, how to get the nervous system to properly get the amygdala to read each other's signals, then the answer is no. There will be no cure for it. There's no, it won't go away. And I God bless the research community. Good luck. High tea. That's Korean for go for it. you know. But no, I mean, and Dr. Weber just told me from Bridgeport Hospital when she diagnosed him. I asked her, I said, "Oh my God, when is this going to be over? When am I going to be a regular mom again?" And she said, "Well, he'll be able to compensate for autism. He'll compensate." I said, "What does that mean?" She said, "He'll learn how to live into a world that is not like his. So he will learn to live in a neuro world, okay, it's certainly it's a diverse now because there's so many of Sebastian in this
Yeah.
world that has been identified, I have to say.
Yeah.
So he'll live in the world, but he'll compensate for living in the world. And then she said, if need be, he'll be able to fool people until he starts to really talk and say things. But I don't worry. I'm on it. I said, Sebastian, when you're in public, answer the question, make eye contact. Don't talk about Power Rangers or stuff that interests you too much. Say 3 sentences and then stop. So so just so he doesn't stand out. So everything about this journey, which will never end, of course, is the constant. Before it was discreet teaching. Say I love you, because it was important for him, for him to say, Mom, I love you. And he didn't know to say that. So I taught him discreetly, okay, I love you. I love you. No, 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 no. Say, I love you, Mom. Next we'll work on I love you, Your Highness, or my queen. But let's start with I love you, Mom. Anyway, so yeah, so now it's more coaching because he's an adult now, and I'm trying to be respectful and not treat him with a bulldozer and make rules. And I have to say also before I stop, that we've been in family therapy with a wonderful therapist, Anne Marie Callagay. She has been our therapist since Sebastian was 13, I think, and even now. And that in family therapy, I highly recommend it. It helps me a lot. I think she technically it's for me
Hmm.
to be less of a overwhelming part of Sebastian's life, because I overwhelm Sebastian. I mean, I'm not autistic, so I just come on like, hey, and then I have to be like, oh, okay, okay, sorry. Okay, so bring it down and be. I want to be a mom. I want to be like, blah 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 blah. I'm gonna, I used to say to him, I'm gonna. If you ever say that to me, I'm gonna make sure you can pick up your teeth on the floor. And then he doesn't get that. He's like, pick up my mom. How are you going to do? I said, do you want to find out? And so that part of being a mom didn't work. And that's what I mean when I say I wanted to be a regular mom. I wanted to threaten my kid and know that he'll understand the hyperbole and know that he'll understand the figure of speech. But
Yeah.
he didn't. And
No,
so
he
I've had to,
can't.
what?
He can't. That's all part of the stuff that doesn't go together the way that everybody else does.
That's right. I've had to, like I said before, discrete trials teaching. I did a lot. I learned a lot at where he went to school at CES, in Trumbull. I learned from them how to parent him using a developmental therapy teaching model. Doesn't matter how big he is, doesn't matter how smart he is, whatever he did at that whatever he did that looks like developmentally he's that age, okay, then teach him at that level so that he will remember, because he's good at remembering. He'll remember, oh, okay, this is the behavior I'm supposed to have because my mother said so, or she will.
She'll be upset. But I mean, he is your only child, so you zeroed right in on him, and he didn't get to sort of divert your attention by having other siblings who maybe took some of your attention away from him. So he he was it. You like he was the center, whether he wanted to be or not. You focused, I think, almost all of your energy
Yes,
on him.
and Josh Johnson is my favorite comedian. Now I have it evolves, and I was watching one of his skits, and he said, I gotta read this so I don't get it wrong because I want to make sure he gets credit. So I'll put on my glasses. He said, if your obsession is being the best at whatever your passion is, you will make an impact. And I love that so much. Because like you said, Sebastian is my only child for a purpose. I purposely did not want to make another child because, well, I'm not very lucky in life. And so I was like, oh, my chances are he'll be autistic too. So I'll have like 5 autistic children because I keep wanting to try for one that's not autistic. Anyway, so Sebastian, yes, I was thinking before this interview, I was like, and I always say this to people, I don't have a lot of regrets, because maybe I have 5 regrets. And then I have not really committed to a lot of things in my life. I can count them in one hand, what I've committed to. And without taking more of your time, I'll go to the one thing I did commit to was to raise Sebastian, but not just to raise him, but to make him the adult that I have in mind. And the adult that I had in mind is exactly the adult he is now. He's an adult who can let me have my freedom. Okay? I want to not be accountable to a 28-year-old man. I
Mhm.
want to be, I don't want to be changing diapers and telling him stop stemming at 28. I don't want that. No.
Yep.
So yeah, so I made him, so he became my obsession because my passion was okay, I don't get to be a regular mom to a regular child, no problem. Okay, then I'm going to be whatever I have to be to make this child what he's supposed to be. And that is a functioning adult who can live in the world, a world that is not like his, and who can take care of himself financially, physically, emotionally. Okay, we have help and so on, and he knows how to access help. And then I'm there to call him out on stuff, like if he's hiding the truth a little bit. He's a terrible liar. I mean, he doesn't lie.
He
Um,
tries to lie, and he's not very good.
he tries. Sebastian, are you withholding the truth? Because we don't say lie because he doesn't outright lie, but how do you say, he'll downplay things. And then me, of course, to counter me overplaying things. Oh my God, disaster! Alert, alert, alert!
So the truth is somewhere in the middle of the two of you.
Yes,
Like that's
yes.
there's the balance. But the two of you no longer live in the same state.
No,
You
we don't.
clearly do not live in the same home any longer. He lives independently,
Yes.
um, which I think is a clear indication of the fact that all that energy that you put in there was energy well spent.
Thank you. Yes,
Uh,
yes. And he lives, in his apartment with a roommate who's also neurodiverse. And then I live here in Georgia, and where I'm a French teacher at Atlanta Public School. Of all things. I was a social worker, but then I'm like, yeah, I like teaching. I
yeah.
like being a
Well,
teacher.
you've always been a teacher, though. You were always Sebastian's teacher, and you have all those teaching skills, so you get to use them in French instead of English.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't have to translate for myself. I already think in French.
So you've really given us a good indication of how you helped him become as independent as possible, and how you've really strongly advocated for him. So tell me what you are looking forward to seeing happen in sort of the next phase of his life. What are you looking forward to seeing him do?
Okay, well, of course, he did get accepted to my alma mater's, Southern, and so I want to see him graduate. Really, it's for me, he went back to school because in 2020, when he graduated from Housatonic, I didn't get to go because it was 2020. And so I'm like, Sebastian, I deserve to see you graduate, and so I can hold a card, that says, my kid, I did it all, it's about me. So he went back to school. So I want to see him graduate with a bachelor's degree. I want him to get a master's degree. And then I want him to be able to work my dream is for him to work in a social environment with other colleagues and people and be able to exchange ideas and everything. Um, but I'll take it if it's work from home or independently and all that. I won't like that as much. But then I'll impose, if he's working from home, I'm going to impose a social calendar for him. Yeah. So, yeah, my dream is to buy him buy a house for him so that he doesn't have to move because he's like me. We don't like to move. And so, make sure he can pay mortgage and live in the world, get married. He doesn't want to now because he thinks he needs money to get married. You don't. Anyway,
There's a
so
lot of people who wouldn't be married if money was the main criteria.
exactly. So when he's on your show, have at him.
Yeah.
So
So
then
what would you say is like his superpower? Is that what he's studying in school? I know that he's very technology savvy.
yes, he's my technology tutor because I'm in school now getting my master's in education. He's my technology teacher. His superpower is that he learns very fast. All he has to do is read up on whatever I want him to learn, and bam, he learns it. And then he calls me, and then he walks me through it and teaches it to me. And so that's his superpower. He learns very fast, and he's a visual learner. He also is a learn by doing, a kinesthetic learner.
Yep.
Yeah, and then he seems to really like computers. He didn't. I mean, he's always read above grade level, but reading is not his thing. Reading is more my thing. I love to read. No, he's more like science, math. But his awesome superpower. Sometimes I say, Sebastian, go learn this and come teach it to me. Mom, blah, blah, blah. I said, Sebastian, are you gonna deprive this poor old woman who raised you all these years?
Poor old woman. No, like first of all, you have the face of a teenager, so nobody's going to believe that you're an old woman. Um,
Thank you.
so, but maybe he's going to turn out to be a teacher.
Mm, he told me, I don't know if I told him, I said, being a teacher is a calling.
Mhm.
That's my opinion. It's a calling from God. And it's a vocation. It's not really a profession. It's a
Yeah.
vocation. And when you have a vocation, it's difficult to go against that versus when you have a profession. I said, Sebastian, if you feel the urge to teach, then teach. It's a gift. But if you don't teach, because the vacations are not worth it.
They're hard sometimes when
Yeah.
you have that calling, and it's not always the
Right.
easiest route.
Right.
So what do you think the rest of the world could do to make folks who are neurotypical like Sebastian feel more comfortable in the world? I'm anticipating that even though he has all those skills that you taught him about, how to go to a restaurant, how to look people in the eye, how to say thank you and all that, it probably is exhausting
It's
for him.
exhausting. Yes.
So
And so, mhm.
what
So
would
I
you want
treat
other
him.
folks to know? So if he decides that he's not going to do all the things that you taught him to do, and he's kind of just being himself and being a little less socially engaging, what would you want the rest of the world to kind of know about that?
Um, you know, ask him if he's okay, and then if he says in a very impolite way, "No, I'm fine," let him be, but hover around to see if he's okay. Yeah, because I'm not there. Hover around and see if he's okay. And then if you see he's doing weird things, we call it stemming, but he stems in a very secretive way now because of how I taught him. Uh, call someone, call the mental health hotline, call it, is it 811 now? Yeah. Ask, I don't know what it is, but
I think that number's getting turned off, unfortunately. Yeah. Um,
yeah, call for help.
yeah. So he did have a period, I think COVID didn't help, where he really sort of struggled
Yes, he
with
did.
being isolated, even though sometimes he likes to be isolated.
Yes, he did like he loved being quarantined. He did. He was like, "See, Mom, I don't have to be social. You see, all this social thing, it's not the best anyway." So um but he went through a period where he was sad and not because of COVID, but just because it was just hard to be, and it's exhausting, like you said, and for
Mhm.
him to muddle through the world that is not like him. And so we got help. I mean, thank God for Connecticut and their mental health system. I know it's not perfect, but it's better than some places.
Yeah.
And so thank God for that. So we got through it. And then family counseling, like I said, helped. Individual counseling for himself and for myself. I couldn't have done this if I wasn't in therapy. For me, the sadness and the grief and the loss of what I thought I was gonna get, and then versus what I actually got. That's very sad. And I'm now mourning it because it's not, I have distance from it.
Yeah.
So yeah, he went through a hard time, but we got help. I'm not very proud about, oh, I'm not gonna get help. No, I'll get help. And
No,
so
well, you also have a master's degree in social work, so I think it would be kind of a problem if you said I'm not going to get any help. But he is old enough too that he's from that generation where I don't think people always recognized that the parents would grieve that they didn't get a child that they were expecting, even though they may have gotten a kid that ultimately turns out to be quite phenomenal. That was not the original plan. So I think
right.
giving
And
folks that time.
yeah, and I'm very, I had a way of describing what it's like to have a child with autism, and people told me it was very morose, and so um just to not share it. But uh I find that I do mourn the loss, and because simple things. I see another child who's two or something, and I look at him as if I need a magnifying glass to say, huh, it talks. And then the parents are like, of course he talks. I said, no, it's not a given.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
raised one who talked at 8. What do you think of that?
Yeah.
So no, it's not a given. It's sad. And then I'm going through my own mourning, and yeah, I hated when people told me God chose me for this. Whatever. Why doesn't God chose you since you're so awesome?
Well, I think given or fortunately, maybe, and depending upon how you want to look at it, the numbers are going up so high. So God chose a lot of folks. Julie, I so appreciate you spending time with us. Unfortunately, we do need to kind of wrap this up. We could probably talk for a much longer period of time, and perhaps I will invite you back to talk about other things. I know that you have a not-for-profit advocacy organization that you have started. So, maybe we'll bring you back in to talk about those things in the future. But I am very grateful for you taking the time to spend with us. And if anyone is trying to reach me, there's a couple ways that they can do that. They can either do that through my website, which is notoholisticconsulting.com, or through email at notoconsulting2002@gmail.com. So thank you very much. And I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you for listening to Universally Unique, exploring the neurodiverse world of the extraordinary. Join me, Dr. Lori, on Transformation Talk Radio every second and fourth Monday at 11:30 Pacific Time as we continue to explore navigating a world not designed for diversity. For advocacy and support for individuals with disabilities, let's connect. Learn more about consulting and life coaching at notoholisticconsulting.com.